Listen, everyone wants success. Everyone wants the money, the lifestyle, the respect. But most of you are impatient. You think it's supposed to happen overnight. You think because you put in a little work, the world owes you results. Let me tell you something. That's not how the real world works. There's a force bigger than you, bigger than me, and that force operates on its own time. You might call it God, and God doesn't care about your deadlines, your whining, or your little frustrations. His timing is perfect. The process you're going through, the struggle, the failures, the delays, it's all part of the design. And if you can't trust that, you will never achieve the life you're chasing. Here's your expanded keynote. No one in raw Tate style, about 700 words, no ending sentence, no headings. Most of you live your entire lives trapped in frustration because you don't understand one brutal fact. The world doesn't care how much you want success. You wake up every morning thinking that because you want something bad enough, because you visualized it, because you're grinding a little bit, that somehow the world is supposed to hand it over to you on a silver platter. But life doesn't owe you anything. Success isn't something you're entitled to. It's something you're qualified for. And qualification comes through the process. A process controlled by something far bigger than you. God. And God's timing is perfect. You may not like it, you may not understand it, but that's irrelevant. Most of you operate on emotion. You feel like you're ready for success. You feel like you're prepared for the big money, for the lifestyle, for the freedom. But the truth is, you're not. You haven't been tested enough yet. You haven't faced enough adversity. You haven't been broken down and rebuilt. You haven't suffered enough disappointment to be mentally unbreakable. And that's why you're still waiting. Because God knows you're not ready. Success is a responsibility. You want to be a millionaire? You want to live on top of the world? You want to have power, influence, respect? That takes strength most of you don't even comprehend. You think you can handle success because you imagine it feels good. You imagine the cars, the private jets, the luxury, the applause. But success isn't just pleasure. It's pressure. It's constant eyes on you. Constant judgment. Constant problems that only get bigger as you rise. If you can't even handle a few setbacks now, if a few failures destroy your motivation, how the hell do you expect to handle real success when everything is magnified? That's why God delays your reward. That's why the process takes time. You're being forged. You're being prepared. Every failure, every betrayal, every moment when you question whether you should quit, it's part of the test. Patience isn't sitting on the couch hoping things work out. Patience is working relentlessly every single day while trusting that your time will come when you're truly ready. God decides that. And his timing is perfect. Not early, not late. Perfect. The problem with most of you is you're addicted to control. You want to control the outcome, control the timing, control the journey. But control is an illusion. You don't control the wind. You control your sails. You don't control when the opportunity arrives. You control whether you're ready when it does. The ones who win in life are the ones who surrender to the process while dominating every single day with discipline. You can't shortcut the work. You can't bypass the struggle. You can't pray your way around the pain. The struggle is the preparation. The pain is the teacher. Every single setback is sharpening you, conditioning you, forcing you to level up mentally, physically, spiritually. If you had everything you wanted right now, it would crush you. And because you're not built for it yet. The delay is not denial, it's development. You are being developed into the person who can carry the weight of real success. You scroll through Instagram and see these people living the life you want. You envy them. You think, why not me? Why don't I have that? What you don't see is what they went through. You don't see the years of discipline, the nights of doubt, the sacrifices, the betrayals, the failures they had to face and survive to get there. You want their results, but you don't want their process. And that's why you stay stuck. Because deep down, you want comfort more than you want growth. You want ease more than you want power. You want to feel good today more than you want to win long term. Understand this. God's plan for you is bigger than your emotions. He's not concerned with your frustration. He's concerned with your preparation. And if you trust the process, if you embrace the suffering, if you get up every single time life knocks you down, you will reach the level you desire. not on your time, on his. If you want, I can write you Keynote Note 2 or another expanded part. Shall I continue? Here's your Keynote Note 2, expanded into about 700 words in the same raw Tate style. No ending sentences, no headings. People think the process is optional, that they can somehow outsmart it. Skip steps, take shortcuts, find some secret formula that allows them to avoid the pain everyone else has to go through. This is why most people fail. They chase hacks instead of embracing the grind. They try to cheat the system, not understanding that the system itself was designed to separate the weak from the strong. You want success? You want freedom? You want power? Then you have to earn it. And earning it means walking through the fire. It means suffering. It means sacrificing. It means losing sleep, losing friends, losing comfort, and still showing up every single day. Most people aren't ready for that. They say they want it, but when the process starts testing them, they fold. The moment things don't go their way, they start looking for excuses. They blame the economy, blame their parents, blame bad luck, blame everything except themselves. That's why God delays their success, because they're not strong enough to carry the responsibility that comes with winning. They haven't developed the resilience, the patience, the discipline. They still think like amateurs while wanting the rewards of champions. And champions are built in the waiting season, not in the winning season. The reason God's timing is perfect is because he sees what you don't. You see your desires. You see what you want today, but God sees who you're becoming. He sees the weaknesses you refuse to acknowledge. He sees the entitlement in your mindset. He sees the ego you haven't killed yet. And as long as those flaws exist, you're not ready for the success you crave. Because if you received it right now, it would expose your flaws and destroy you. The money would make you soft. The power would inflate your ego. The attention would distract you. The responsibility would break you. And that's why he waits. That's why you're still in the grind. People don't understand suffering is part of the training. They want comfort and growth at the same time. But growth doesn't happen when you're comfortable. It happens when you're forced to confront your limits and push past them. It happens when you're under pressure, when everybody wants to win until they realize what winning actually costs. You say you want success. You say you're hungry, you're motivated, you're ready to dominate, but then life smacks you in the mouth and suddenly you're full of doubt, full of fear, full of excuses. Wanted it if the price was cheap. But real success demands everything. It demands your time, your focus, your energy, your relationships, your comfort, your peace of mind. You pay for success with your life, and very few are willing to make that payment. The process exists to reveal who's serious and who's pretending. God uses the process to strip away the weak. He uses time, failure, disappointment, and struggle to expose people's true level of commitment. Everybody talks a big game at the start. Everybody is motivated when things are new and exciting. But as soon as the struggle becomes real, as soon as the sacrifices start piling up, you start to see who really has it inside of them. Most people don't. They crumble. They retreat back to comfort. They tell themselves they'll try again later, but later never comes. Because the truth is, they were never built for it. They were tourists in the game, not residents. God's timing is perfect because he's not in a rush to hand out rewards to people who aren't prepared to carry the weight. The bigger your vision, the heavier the responsibility that comes with it. If you want to build an empire, you have to be ready to withstand the storms that come with it. If you want to lead people, you have to be able to stand strong while everyone else is falling apart. If you want real power, you have to be able to control your emotions, stay disciplined under pressure, and keep moving forward no matter what happens. That kind of strength doesn't appear overnight. It's built over years of suffering, years of tests, years of getting up after failure. Most people live in this fantasy where they think success is about finding the right opportunity or getting lucky. But the truth is, it's about becoming the kind of person who's unbreakable no matter what the world throws at you. That's why God delays success. He's not punishing you, he's preparing you. Every setback is a lesson. Every betrayal is a test. Every failure is an opportunity to toughen your mind, sharpen your focus, and kill your ego. The process is brutal because the rewards are massive. You can't expect to receive something huge without being forged into the person who can handle it. So the ones who win are the ones who submit to the process without question. They don't complain about the timing. They don't sit around whining that it's not happening fast enough. They wake up every day and put in the work, fully understanding that their time will come exactly when it's supposed to. They don't try to manipulate God's plan. They focus on becoming worthy of what they're asking for. That's the secret most people miss. It's not about asking for success, it's about proving you deserve it. And you prove that through discipline, consistency, sacrifice, and absolute faith in the process. Every delay you experience is there to teach you something. Maybe you're not as disciplined as you think. Maybe you're still emotionally weak. Maybe your ego still gets in the way. Maybe you're not managing your time right. Maybe you're still surrounding yourself with people who drag you down. God's not going to reward you while you're still carrying dead weight. He's not going to open doors while you're still living like an amateur. The process forces you to confront all of these weaknesses and correct them. And once you've proven you fix what needs fixing, the doors start opening, but not before. People say they trust God's plan, but the moment things don't go their way, they start panicking. True trust is staying calm in the middle of chaos. True trust is continuing to execute even when you see no results. True trust is knowing that every second of suffering is serving a greater purpose, even if you can't see it right now. Most people don't have that level of faith. They're fragile. They're desperate for instant results because they don't believe in themselves enough to stay the course. That's why the process eliminates them. The longer you're in the process, the more valuable you become. The skills you develop, the mindset you build, the resilience you create, all of it compounds over time. That's why people who go through the full process and don't quit end up dominating everyone else. Because while others were looking for shortcuts, you were building real strength. You are preparing for the moment when your opportunity finally arrives. And when it does, you'll be ready to grab it with both hands because you earned it. The problem with most people is they've been lied to since birth. They were sold this fantasy that life is fair, that effort automatically equals reward, that if you just stay positive, good things will happen to you. That's not how reality works. Reality is ruthless. Reality doesn't care how much you want something. Reality only responds to one thing, whether or not you're prepared to handle it. And preparation happens through pain. Preparation happens through patience. Preparation happens through God's timing, not yours. That's why so many people never make it. They can't handle waiting. They can't handle the silence. They can't handle putting in the work for years without applause, without validation, without any sign that it's working. Most people want reassurance. They want someone to tell them it's all going to work out. But that's weakness. Winners don't need reassurance. Winners trust the process even when everything looks like it's falling apart. Winners understand that every setback is part of the refining process. God isn't interested in handing out success to people who haven't been tested. You have to earn the right to win. You have to prove that you can keep going when everything in your life is screaming at you to quit. That's what separates the successful from the average. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's the ability to suffer and keep moving forward anyway. The process is designed to break you down. It's designed to expose every weakness you have, every insecurity, every fear, every bit of laziness, every ounce of doubt you carry inside you. The process will drag it all out into the open. And you have two choices when that happens. You can run from it, make excuses, blame the world, and stay exactly where you are for the rest of your life, or you can face it head on, kill your weaknesses, and rebuild yourself into someone unbreakable. That's what the process is for. It's not here to hurt you. It's here to transform you. People don't understand that timing is part of the design. They think because it hasn't happened yet, it won't happen at all. But that's not how it works. God sees things you don't see. He sees the future you're not ready for yet. He sees the challenges that would destroy you if you receive success too early. That's why he makes you wait. That's why the process is slow. It's not because you're being punished. It's because you're being prepared. The longer you stay in the process, the stronger you become. The stronger you become, the bigger the reward you can handle when your time finally comes. Weak people crave instant gratification. They want the rewards today. They want the lifestyle without the sacrifice. They want respect without earning it. And that's why they lose. That's why they give up when things get hard. That's why they spend their lives bitter, jealous, and defeated, They never developed the patience required to win. They never trusted the process long enough to see the results. The world is full of people like that. People who quit too soon, people who stopped just before the breakthrough, people who never became who they were meant to be because they couldn't handle the waiting season. God's timing forces you to level up in ways you didn't even know you needed. You think you're ready now, but you're blind to the weaknesses. You don't see your pride. You don't see your lack of discipline. You don't see the toxic people you're still entertaining. You don't see the bad habits you're still holding on to. And because you can't see it, you think you're ready. But God sees everything. And he knows exactly what would happen if you receive success right now. That's why he holds it back. Not to frustrate you, but to protect you from your own immaturity. You've got to be willing to suffer in silence. You've got to be willing to grind while nobody's watching. You've got to be willing to develop yourself when there's no guarantee of when your time will come. That's real discipline. That's real strength. That's real trust. And that's what God is looking for. Not people who only work when they feel motivated. Not people who only show up when the results are immediate. He's looking for warriors. He's looking for people who stay consistent through every season, who stay locked in through every storm, who refuse to break no matter how long it takes. The process will strip away everything fake inside of you. It will expose your weaknesses and force you to fix them. It will break your ego and teach you humility. It will crush your pride and teach you discipline. It will test your patience, your work ethic, your endurance, your faith. And if you pass those tests, if you refuse to fold, if you keep moving forward no matter how painful it gets, you'll eventually step into everything you've been praying for, but only when you're fully prepared to carry it. Most people live like slaves to their emotions. They wake up and only perform when they feel good. They chase motivation like addicts looking for a fix. If they feel inspired, they work hard. If they feel tired, they slack off. If life gets a little uncomfortable, they crumble. This is why the process destroys so many, because the process doesn't care how you feel. The process requires you to show up regardless of your emotion. God doesn't bless people who only move when it's convenient. He blesses those who move with discipline. People who put in the work whether they feel like it or not. People who grind when nobody's watching. Who sacrifice while everyone else is partying. Who stay locked in while others are distracted chasing cheap dopamine. Discipline is the currency of success. Not feelings, not motivation. Discipline. That's why God delays some people's success. Because he knows they're still too emotional. They're still controlled by their feelings. If everything doesn't go exactly how they want, they break down. They start questioning the process, questioning God, questioning themselves. That kind of weakness can't handle true success. Success comes with pressure. It comes with responsibilities most people aren't mentally ready for. It comes with problems that don't care if you feel stressed or tired. And if you're not already trained to move with discipline instead of emotion, those responsibilities will break you. The process is designed to build that discipline. God uses delay to force you into habits that don't rely on your mood. He uses struggle to develop mental toughness. He puts you through seasons where nothing seems to work, so you learn how to keep moving anyway. Because once you master that, once you've proven that your work ethic isn't tied to your emotions, you're finally ready for what you've been praying for, not before. The delay isn't to hurt you, it's to build you, to break you down and rebuild you into someone unshakable. Most people pray for success while still living like amateurs. They say they want financial freedom, but they're lazy. They say they want power, but they can't control their own schedule. They say they want influence, but they can't even lead themselves. You think God is going to put you in a position of power when you still can't master your mornings, when you still waste time scrolling your phone, watching trash, chasing distractions that destroy your focus. You're not being denied, you're being trained. And every day you waste is another day you delay your own breakthrough. People confuse activity with progress. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're building anything. You can work for years and still be broke because you never learned how to work properly. You never submitted to the process. You never surrendered to discipline. You were moving, but you were moving emotionally. You were doing what felt good instead of doing what was necessary. Real growth happens when you get ruthless about execution. When you build systems that run even when your emotions are weak. When you hold yourself to standards regardless of the circumstances around you. God's timing is brutal because he knows what's coming. You only see your desires. He sees the weight you're asking to carry. You think you're ready for success, but he sees the cracks in your character. He sees the pride you haven't killed. He sees the discipline you haven't developed. He sees the lessons you still refuse to learn. And until you fix those things, He won't release what you're asking for because he's not going to set you up to fail. He's not going to hand you success that will crush you because you skipped the preparation. The people who win are the ones who embrace the waiting. They don't complain that it's taking too long. They don't whine about how unfair life is. They see the waiting as preparation. They see the struggle as sharpening. They see the obstacles as opportunities to level up. And because of that, they keep growing while others keep quitting. They build resilience while others build excuses. They stay locked in while others get distracted. And over time, that discipline compounds. That consistency turns into momentum. That momentum turns into unstoppable power. The people who trust the process don't panic when things go quiet. They understand that silence is often where the real work happens. When nobody's watching, when there's no applause, when there's no recognition, that's when you either build or break. Most people break. They get discouraged. They slow down. They let fear creep in. But the few who stay locked in during those quiet seasons become killers. They become the ones who eventually dominate while everyone else is left wondering how they did it. The answer is simple. They respected the process. They respected God's timing. They stayed the course when others got weak. Weak people chase results. Strong people chase mastery. Weak people need quick wins to feel good about themselves. Strong people understand that the biggest wins are reserved for those who endure the longest. Success isn't about talent. It's not about luck. It's about how long you can keep doing the right things while seeing no immediate return. That's where 99% of people fail. They want to plant the seed and see the tree the next day. But trees don't grow overnight. Roots have to go deep first. The foundation has to be strong enough to handle the weight of what's coming. That's what the process is doing. It's growing your roots deep so you don't collapse when success finally arrives. Everybody wants to talk about faith when things are going well. When life is smooth, when money is flowing, when opportunities are everywhere, people love to say they trust God's plan. But real faith isn't proven when everything's working. Real faith is proven in the drought. It's proven when doors keep closing, when opportunities disappear, when you're putting in the work every day and nothing is moving. That's where most people fold because they don't actually trust anything. They want results, not faith. They want comfort, not growth. And because of that, they never make it through the process. The process will strip you down to nothing before it builds you up. That's by design. You have to be emptied before you can be filled. You have to lose what's weak before you gain what's strong. You have to kill the amateur before you're reborn as the professional. But most people don't have the stomach for that level of sacrifice. They want to hold on to their old ways while stepping into a new level. They want to keep their comfort, their laziness, their bad habits, and still receive blessings they haven't earned. God's not going to reward you while you're still clinging to the very things that are holding you back. This is why the waiting season feels brutal. It's not because you're forgotten, it's because you're being refined. God is giving you chance after chance to fix what needs fixing before the breakthrough comes. But if you refuse to address your weaknesses, you stay stuck. You keep praying for new levels while living with old patterns. You can't pray your way out of a process you refuse to respect. The work has to be done. The changes have to happen. And that takes time. That takes pain. That takes isolation, discipline, and brutal self-honesty. The longer the wait, the greater the weight you're meant to carry. God doesn't waste time. If your waiting season feels long, it's because what you're being prepared for is heavy. The bigger the calling, the deeper the preparation. You can't handle a king's responsibility with a servant's discipline. You want millions? You want influence? You want power? That takes a version of you that doesn't exist yet. The process is creating that version. Every day of struggle, every night of doubt, every setback you survive is building a foundation inside you that nothing will be able to shake when the time comes. Most people underestimate how dangerous success can be if you're not prepared for it. They only see the rewards, the cars, the money, the attention, the lifestyle, but they don't see the pressure. They don't see the isolation. They don't see the weight of responsibility. They don't see the enemies that come with power. They don't see the mental toughness required to stay sharp when everyone wants a piece of you. That's why God doesn't bless people too soon. He sees what's coming. He sees the storms ahead. And if you're not prepared, those storms will wipe you out. The process builds unseen strength. While you're grinding in silence, while you're sacrificing in private, while you're enduring seasons of discouragement, you're being equipped with weapons most people never develop. Weapons like resilience, discipline, patience, mental toughness, focus, unshakable faith. These are the weapons that will carry you when you finally step into your calling. Because once you arrive, the real battle begins. And if you skip the preparation, you won't survive the fight. The world is full of people who got things too early and got destroyed. Lottery winners who lost everything. Athletes who couldn't handle fame. Entrepreneurs who couldn't manage success. They looked ready on the outside, but they were weak inside. They never respected the process. They never allowed God to do the internal work. And when success exposed their weaknesses, it crushed them. And that's why the process feels ruthless. It's protecting you from becoming another casualty. The process exposes your character before it exposes you to the world. It gives you time to fix what's broken privately so you don't get humiliated publicly. The discipline you build in private will sustain you in public. The strength you develop in obscurity will protect you under pressure. That's why you have to embrace every delay, every setback, every season of waiting as a gift. It's preparation, not punishment. And the ones who embrace it fully are the ones who win when their time finally arrives. You don't get to choose when your season comes. You only get to choose whether you'll be ready when it does. That's the real test. Will you stay disciplined in the dark? Will you keep building when nobody's clapping? Will you keep your faith unshaken when the timeline makes no sense? Most people can't. They get bitter. They start looking at others who seem to be winning and question why it's not happening for them. But comparison is a trap. Your process is customized. Your timing is customized. Your preparation is customized. And if you try to skip it, you forfeit everything you were meant to carry. The process is painful because your calling is powerful. The resistance you feel is proportional to the size of what's coming. The enemy doesn't attack what isn't a threat. The setbacks you face are a sign that you're being built for something bigger than you can currently comprehend. And every moment you endure, every battle you survive, every time you refuse to quit, you're stacking strength, stacking wisdom, stacking experience that will make you unstoppable when your moment finally comes.